In this video, we're going to take a look at edge loops. Here we have our crow and we've modeled a good portion of him, but now we want to add his wings. To do this, I'm going to go to my modeling toolkit and first establish symmetry so that I get both wings created at the same time. I'm going to select a common edge between both halves of my model, and in my toolkit, choose Symmetry. Now, when I select or look at my pre-selection, I'll see that I do have symmetry active and that it is highlighting an edge on both sides. I want to insert edge loops here so that I have geometry that I can pull the wing out of. Right now, we just have a large portion of the bird's body, but not really a section defined for the wing itself. I'm going to switch to my modeling menus and go to Mesh Tools, Insert Edge Loop Tool, and open the Edge Loop options. Now, I have a couple of different things that I can do here. I'm going to keep this on relative distance from edge, and let's just insert a loop here, and let's reset our tool. And we'll insert a loop, and we can see we get a pre-selection here. And if I hold the left mouse button down, I can relocate that edge loop. I'm going to place this just right about here. And we can see that it just drops that edge loop in there, and it goes all the way around my model. I'm going to undo that and look at a different option to turn on here, and that is Insert with Edge Flow. I'm going to check this, and now come back to my model, and let's insert that loop again. This time, when it's added, you can see that it doesn't add it planar to the face. It actually tries to conform the new edge loop to the shape of the object. This can save me a lot of modeling time, as now it automatically pulls that shape out for the body. I can adjust this inside of our attribute editor here by going to Poly Split Ring, and I can shift where that edge loop exists or adjust that edge flow. So if I really didn't like it or if it was too much, we could take it down. And I can also exceed a value of 1. I'm going to keep it right there at 1. I think that works for us just fine. And we'll go back, and this loop here will be the lower half of the wing. I'm going to insert another loop with edge flow to get the top half of the wing. That gives me a good edge loop there. We can see we get it on both sides. Next, I'm going to select my faces, and I'll grab these 3 faces right here, and we'll extrude these out to get our wing. Let's switch over to a front view so we can use our reference material here. And we had an extra edge selected there. Let's just redo that selection. That's better. Okay, and we'll do an extrusion here. I'll go to my toolkit, and I'll click on Extrude and pull that out. I'm going to hold Control-Shift and click again to pull out another extrusion, and another, and we'll grab one more. Now that pulls out relatively straight there. Then we can go back in and reshape this. We'll go to our Move tool. Again, Symmetry is still active. Let's go to Vertices, and we can begin to shape this up. And our reference material there is a little bit too high, so we're just going to ballpark this and get it approximate to where we want it. We can always adjust that reference material as we go, but let's just move these up and get that basic shape. Now from here, I'd like to insert another edge loop before I continue shaping anything else here. So let's go back to Object Mode. I will select our character and go to Mesh Tools, and let's insert another edge loop. And we could insert this edge loop with edge flow once again, but when we do this, we can't center into our geometry. Now we could go back into the channel box and find that history node and just type in 0.5 for the weight. And we can type in 0.5, and that'll give us that dead center. Or let's explore our other option here. We could choose multiple edge loops. And using the equal multiplier, this will place multiple edge loops equally spaced apart. What we can do here, though, is change this to 1. When it's set to 1, we get an edge loop dead center into our geometry. I'm going to stick with that one there. Now, the downside of using that equal multiplier is that we cannot use edge flow directly with it. But that's okay. I need to expand this geometry out a little bit further anyway, so I'm just going to select these loops. And I don't need to manually click on those. I'm going to grab down here and double click. And that gives me my whole edge loop plus the symmetry of the other side. Go back to our toolkit. I'm going to go to Scale, and we'll uniformly scale that out just a bit so that we can have a more thinner type geometry out there for the feathers of our crow. Now, when I do that scale, that's also getting a little sloppy there and pushing into my geometry. So we'll just go back. I'll select Vertex, go to Wireframe, and we'll find that interior vertex there. And we can just pull that out. And again, with our symmetry on, we know that it is affecting the other side at the same time. Next, we would just go ahead and push and pull all of our vertices and shape this up so that it looks more like our reference material.